You ever heard this statement that says, when it rains, it pours? Life seems like that sometimes, doesn't it? It seems like there's so many things that troubles and events like raindrops just fall down on us and seem to overwhelm us and keep us from being able to focus on the things God wants us to do. So, if you've ever felt that way, or you feel that way today, I have an essay here that I've written called Reversing the Raindrop. And I just simply want to read it today. And this is dedicated to anybody who feels like they're being overwhelmed by the storms of life. And I hope this will be encouragement. Again, the title, Rewinding the Raindrop. I was looking down at a puddle of water on a busy sidewalk on a rainy night. In the puddle was a distorted reflection from a neon sign mounted at eye level on a brick wall above. At first, I couldn't make out what the sign said in the reflection. Then I focused on a single raindrop that seemed to move backwards through time. Instead of the waves moving outward from the point of the raindrop's impact, they moved inward from the perimeter of the puddle, forming the raindrop in the middle again. The drop began to ascend in slow motion back towards the sky. As I followed it with my eyes, I could see the neon sign directly in front of me. The sign was under a canopy. A reverse waterfall of raindrops moved back towards the canopy, still distorting my vision to a degree, but I could make out plainly that the sign had the word trust in bright neon letters. Suddenly, my viewpoint shifted to the perspective of the raindrop. It ascended back into the sky where it transformed into a vapor and joined other droplets in the cloud. I could see the cloud traveling back above the ocean where it first formed. Then I saw the vapor recondense back into the ocean. Under the surface of the water, time sped by in reverse, through millions of sunrises and sunsets until there was nothing but darkness. The waters surrounding the drop were turbulent and chaotic. It was then that I realized that this was the moment just before creation. Time stopped and then started moving forward again. In the darkness, there was a flash of light, and I realized this was the moment that God said, "Let there be light." The drop now moved fast forward back through the sunrises and sunsets, evaporated, traveled into the cloud many miles from the ocean, and returned to the spot where it fell from the heavens into the puddles beneath my feet. At this point, I stepped underneath the canopy. Now I could see the sign without the obstruction of rain. Above the word trust was the neon outline of Jesus with his hands spread out as if inviting me to do exactly what the sign said, trust. As I stood there gazing at the sign, passers-by began stopping to see what I was staring at. The light from the sign grew brighter and brighter, catching the attention of more and more people. But I was standing so close to the sign that I knew I was obstructing their view. But the longer I stood there, the more I began fading away. I was still present, but becoming more translucent by the second. Eventually, those standing there could no longer see me, but now they could clearly see the sign. After a moment, I discovered what was making me translucent. I saw the side view of myself standing in front of the neon sign. And there was Jesus, with his arms wrapped around my rain-soaked frame. It was almost as if he was absorbing me into himself. I felt such love and peace in that moment. God taught me a lesson. The puddle represented the combined events of my life. The raindrops were new events arriving and disrupting the reflection. As long as I focused on the puddle, I could not see clearly what God was trying to tell me. It wasn't until I allowed my gaze to follow that reversed action of the raindrop that I saw the word trust. God also took me back through the history of the raindrop, all the way back to the moment of its origin at creation. The flash of light was Jesus. He stilled the chaos of the darkened waters on day one. If he could tame the primordial ocean, then the turbulence of my little puddle was no challenge for him. When I stepped beneath the canopy, Jesus was showing me that he wanted to move closer to him. And the closer I got to Jesus, the more transparent my life became, and the more clearly others can see him through me. Oh God, make this a reality in my life. So if you're in a storm today and it's raging, the raindrops are just flooding down on your head, understand God's got you. God has a purpose for the storm. And if he can still the waters of the sea, he can still puddle of our lives. I hope it's a blessing.